Welcome to Bless Dem Boys, a podcast looking to refine their morning routine. I am one Saints fan, not a Cowboys fan, one fan of who dat, with no real strong opinion of dat win. I'm here to give weekly takes, game recaps, bad betting picks, game previews, and the occasional Seinfeld reference. With the NFL draft upon us, this week we're going to highlight a former draft pick, not necessarily a first-round pick, but a former draft pick of both the Saints and the Cowboys. Our patron saint this week is fullback / running back Craig Ironhead Hayward. Hayward was drafted 24th overall in 1988 by the Saints. He would remain with the Saints through the 1992 season. He played one season for the Bears in 1993 and then moved on to the Falcons for 3 seasons, during which he earned his only 1,000-yard rushing season and a Pro Bowl selection in the year 1995. Hayward would finish his career playing for the then St. Louis Rams in 1997 and the Indianapolis Colts in 1998. All told, Hayward for his career had 4,301 rushing yards, and he is the father of Cameron and Connor Hayward, both currently playing in the NFL for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's the uncle of Bengals linebacker Shaka Hayward, who just completed his first season in the NFL. And this week, in honor of McNeese State's upset victory over Clemson in the NCAA March Madness men's tournament last week, our patron Cowboy is former McNeese State and Dallas Cowboy defensive end Kavika Pittman. Pittman was drafted by Dallas in 1996, not first round. It was a second-round pick, 37th overall. He played 4 seasons in Dallas before moving on to Denver for 3 seasons and 1 season with the Carolina Panthers before he retired in 2003. For his career, Pittman recorded 18 sacks and 191 tackles. I am Paul the Saints fan, Brandon the Cowboys fan. Still out this week. Hope to have him back next week. But the gang is the rest of the gang is here to tell us what time it is.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time. Let's see you lift that.
Mr. Vanderbaum, please.
It's go time.
This one's for you, Pop. It's go time.
It's go time.
You've been married 3 times.
That's it! It's go time!
It's go time.
All right. So a couple housekeeping items before we get into the festivities for the week. If you'd like to contact the show, you can do so. blessdemboys@gmail.com. That's BLESSDEMBOYZ@gmail.com. Still on Twitter. We're at bless_dem_boys. So please give us a follow over there. You can also follow myself. I'm at Paul Elliott _316. That's PAULELLIOTT. And Brandon is at Ball from Grace. We're also on Blue Sky, so please follow us there as well. Probably need to, I know I keep saying this, but we probably need to be a little more active on the socials. But we'll work on it. We'll work on it. And, if you have feedback for us, please let us know. If you'd like to hear more from us on socials. If you're listening, thank you. You can stream us on Spotify and Apple. Leave rating and reviews there. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. Leave rating and review. Appreciate all the feedback. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell random strangers on the street. Tell the bots. Shout out to the bots who are still following us out there. I got quite a bit to talk through. I guess from a football perspective. But before we get to the football perspective, then also we'll talk about March Madness a little bit as well. But before we get into that, we here at Bless Them Boys can talk about other things.
But enough about fish. I can discuss other things,
All right, so got a big TV and movie watching week for your boy this week. Let me talk about the Severance finale. Season 2 of Severance came to a conclusion. Episode dropped this past Thursday. Wonderful episode. Can't say enough nice things about it. What's funny is it's so long ago now because I'm recording this on Wednesday, so 6 days later. But yeah, it's a tremendous episode of television. Really like the way they ended up the season. Kind of similar to season 1, where season 2 started out fairly well, kind of had its lulls, but then it really picked up steam the last 2 episodes, and again this episode really well done. They have been renewed for a season 3, so hopefully won't be a long break between. The break between season 1 and 2 was like 3 years. Hopefully not that long of a break incoming for season 3. White Lotus season 3 is still rocking and rolling. They have, I believe, 2 episodes left. And they're picking up steam as well. A lot of good things. If you've read some of the commentary about the show, you know that it's got some controversial subject matter, I'll say. But I would recommend the show to anybody, especially if you like your prestige TV with like a tinge of humor. And if you're a fan of Walton Goggins, he's tremendous on the show. Also, Jason Isaacs is on the show. He's great this year. Parker Posey is great. Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Patrick, is on the show. So, yeah, definitely recommend checking it out. Now, speaking of Walton Goggins, he is also on the show Righteous Gemstones. He wasn't featured in this past week's episode. Watch that this week as well. Still a hilarious show. This is their last season, season 4. Really good. If you're a fan of Danny McBride and anything he does, highly recommend checking it out. I need to go back and watch Vice Principals and Eastbound and Down. I need to add that to my list of shows to watch after checking out this show. It's really good stuff. A new show on Apple TV that just debuted. The first 2 episodes dropped today, I believe, is The Studio. A lot of buzz around this show. It stars Seth Rogen. It's created by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who are there. That's been Rogen's. They've been partners for quite a while, but this show is kind of a parody, I guess a satire, as it were, of the Hollywood complex and how movies get made. Rogen plays the head of a studio. Catherine Hahn is in this. She's wonderful. Catherine O'Hara also in this from, if you've seen Schitt's Creek, I've talked about the Christopher Guest movies the last couple of weeks. She's in those as well. She's obviously the mom in Home Alone. She's wonderful. Yeah, I'm encouraged by what I've seen the first two episodes. So hopefully that streak will continue as we go through the season. I think that's all the TV. I'm trying to rack my brain here. That's all I've got written down. Let's move on to some movies that I watched. Okay, so I watched a film. This is one I had not seen before. And I'm going to be honest, there's no real good reason why I had never seen it before. It definitely came out when I was of an age where I definitely would have been interested to see it, I guess, if that makes sense. It came out in 1997. It's called The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, and Gary Oldman. I wanted to watch this because Bruce Willis celebrated his 70th birthday last week, and Gary Oldman's birthday was also last week. So I figured, why not watch a film that they're both in? And The Fifth Element, I'd heard of this film. It was definitely one of those films that in college everybody watched and everybody liked, and I just never got around to it. So I finally got around to it. It's on Pluto TV, if you have the Pluto TV app. So if you want to check it out, highly recommend it. It's a great movie. Sad I hadn't watched it sooner, honestly. But it's a great film. Bruce Willis and Gary Oldman are great. Chris Tucker, hilarious. Also stars Tiny Lister, who, for wrestling fans out there, you may know him as Zeus, from back in the late 80s. He plays the president of the. I'm not sure if it's the president of the United States or he's just the president of the world. It's in a futuristic. It's based in like a futuristic setting. So, apologies, I don't remember exactly his full title, but definitely recommend checking that one out. And then, kind of along the same lines, I watched a film from 1982 called Blade Runner. You probably heard of it. This is obviously a Ridley Scott film. Stars Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, Edward James Olmos is in this. It's it's widely thought to be one of Ridley Scott's better films. It's widely thought to be one of the more innovative films of the 80s. I had seen it before. I just wanted to revisit it. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great film. It's beautifully shot. Like the opening shot of the film is wonderful, and it's got a lot of themes about consciousness and all these big picture ideas. It's also set in what's scary about it is like it's set in Los Angeles in 2019, which obviously is in real time. That's 6 years ago, and yeah, we're not where Blade Runner is, but I definitely recommend checking it out if you have not checked it out. Also watched a film called Enemy. Now, this is a film by Denis Villeneuve. If that name sounds familiar, and hopefully I pronounced it well enough for it to sound familiar. He is the gentleman who directed the Dune movies, the two Dune movies with Timothée Chalamet, and he's working on the third one, I believe, as we speak. He also directed the sequel to Blade Runner 2049, which I did not get to watch. That's kind of why I watched Blade Runner originally. I wanted to watch both of them, but I didn't get around to 2049. He also directed Sicario, if you know that film from 2015 with Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt and Josh Brolin, which is really weird to think. I always forget that he did Sicario. Not if for no other reason than he like Dune, obviously set in kind of a futuristic or sci-fi type world. Then you have Blade Runner, obviously, or Blade Runner 2049, obviously futuristic setting. And the Sicario is based in the American Southwest, just in the regular old setting. And then also he did a movie called Prisoners, which I think I've talked about on the show before. But Enemy is a very interesting film. It's a lot more, it's got a little David Lynch vibe to it. Let me get you the tagline here from, from IMDb. It's the tagline is: "A man seeks out his exact look-alike after spotting him in a movie," and the man is played by Jake Gyllenhaal. So Jake Gyllenhaal pulls double duty in this movie. That's really all I'll say about it. It's something to see. I will say it's an hour and a half. So, if you're into movies that are not going to take up too much of your time, this definitely falls in that category. It also is on Pluto TV right now, so I would recommend it. It is a little out there, I will say. So, just fair warning. And then I also watched a film. I didn't realize this until I just sat down and started writing down what I wrote. I watched a Michael Mann film. This is from the director Michael Mann, the director of Heat and Thief, which I've talked about on the show before. I also talked about Manhunter, I believe. I watched another one of his films. This one is called Public Enemies. It's from 2009. This is based on the true story of what's Christian about Melvin Purvis, who's an FBI agent. This is during the J. Edgar Hoover era. I guess that's it. It's federal government. They're trying to take down John Dillinger, who's played by Johnny Depp, Babyface Nelson, who's actually played by Stephen Graham. We talked about Adolescence last week, so it's nice to see Stephen Graham in a little different role here. And then Pretty Boy Floyd, who is actually played by a Channing Tatum, who I didn't recognize until at first when he first showed up. But anyway, so this is basically this kind of that. It's based on that story. One thing about the movie, I like the movie for the most part. I mean, it's definitely a Michael Mann style of film. Johnny Depp gave a good performance, but there was one. For those that have seen the movie, there was one line delivery Johnny Depp gave, which made me think I was curious to know what the film would look like if Matthew McConaughey played the role of John Dillinger. I'm not saying it would be better, I'm just more curious about what that would look like. Christian Bale was phenomenal. I mean, he's Christian Bale. So again, something I would definitely recommend that one. We'll talk a little bit more about the films of Michael Mann here a little later in the show. So then I watched three sports movies. Blue Chips. So Blue Chips is directed by William Friedkin, who I've talked about before. He directed The French Connection, and he also directed the film Sorcerer, which I talked about, I believe, last week or the week before. And Blue Chips, for those that don't know, is a basketball film. It stars Nick Nolte. It came out in 1994, and it starred Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Calbert Chaney, like a bunch of NBA players, legitimate NBA players. So, and I had seen it before. It had been quite a while since I'd seen it, but what's interesting is that Friedkin, he does The French Connection, he does Sorcerer, he's in the 70s, and he does another movie which I watched this week called The Exorcist, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But it's really interesting to see him kind of shift genres there. Blue Chips is very good. Nolte gives a very good performance. J.T. Walsh is in this film. You may know him as Lieutenant Markinson from A Few Good Men. He gives a performance as a kind of a sleazy sponsor of the friend of the program, as they call it in the movie. Definitely a lot of contemporary ideas in the film, and if you think about NIL and those kind of things. So again, definitely worth your time if you have the time to check it out. Blue Chips. I want to say that one's on Pluto. I think I saw that one on Pluto as well. Let me double check. Yes, that one also on Pluto. So Pluto TV, it's free to sign up. I mean, they have ads and whatnot, but definitely some good films though. Another sports film that I watched, Oliver Stone's Any Given Sunday from 1999. I had seen this movie before as well. This is Oliver Stone doing a football movie. And if you've ever seen an Oliver Stone film, if you've seen Platoon, or if you've seen Born on the 4th of July, you've seen JFK, Natural Born Killers. If you've never seen Any Given Sunday, and I tell you it's Oliver Stone doing a football movie, whatever that you think of in your head, that's what it is. It's really Oliver Stone doing a football movie. It's very well, It's well written and it has good moments, but Stone gets a little bit in his own way about, kind of gets a little cute. Not always cute, but he gets heavy-handed, I would say, with kind of the comparisons of these football players to gladiators. Again, this movie came out in '99. This is well before the whole CTE thing was kind of mainstream, I guess, for lack of a better word. This, but definitely if you watch it, you'll see a lot of things that are like, oh, yeah, it's very, I would definitely recommend watching it because they definitely kind of hone in on what it took to play football today and also back in those days. I mean, there's obviously talk of, painkillers. There's talk of extracurricular activities, let's call them, after the game. Jamie Foxx gives a great performance. This was kind of Jamie Foxx's breakout performance. Dennis Quaid is in the movie. Al Pacino plays the coach, and he's Al Pacino. I mean, he's throwing 100, definitely. Probably one of his last great performances, honestly. So Any Given Sunday, that's cool. I mentioned The Exorcist, so I think we've talked about this on the show before. I am not a horror movie fan. I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to horror movies, but great podcast that I love. It's one of the inspirations I've had to start my own podcast. It's called The Lapsed Fan. It's a professional wrestling podcast. They talk about the glory days of professional wrestling, the 80s, the 90s. But they have kind of a side project that they do through their Patreon, which is called Under the Cinemat, which basically they find films that have a wrestling connection, either directly through, someone, wrestlers in the movie, or, the movie inspired something in wrestling, things like that. And they did The Exorcist. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to watch it. So I kind of did. They do kind of a watch along where they'll talk about the film. They'll, kind of lay out all the ins and outs of how it was made and all that good stuff. And then they'll just straight up watch the movie. So they did that with The Exorcist. So I watched it with them. So might be a little different had I watched it just cold, just with the audio and the visuals. But I came away from the experience, again, we talked about Freakin' with Blue Chips. Like, I just came away more like, I don't want to say impressed, but I was like, how he handled the subject matter. I mean, obviously it's not not an easy subject matter to talk about if you know anything about the film. But I really got why people say the hype. I guess I got the hype of why people say it's one of the great horror movies and obviously one of the great movies of all time. So, yeah. And I don't remember, I may have watched this one. For those of you who maybe have never heard of a VPN, virtual private network, I believe that's what it's short for. Anyway, I use NordVPN, and what you can do with NordVPN is you can change your, or with any VPN, I guess, is you can change your digital address. So if, let's say there's a film that you want to see, but it's on Netflix, but it's on Netflix in the United Kingdom, but not in the United States. Well, VPN can allow you on your device to change your virtual location to the United Kingdom, go to your Netflix app, and you can watch that film. Now, I should point out, doesn't work for all streaming apps. Like, I know what Prime Video gets tricky. I know the best ones I've found that it works with are Netflix, Max, and Hulu to a certain extent. Prime Video's gotten a little better as I've used it, but just a shout out to use NordVPN, and also I'll shout out a website called Stream with VPN. So that's STREAMWITH VPN.com. And basically on that website, you can look up a movie and it'll tell you, like, okay, this movie is on these services in these countries. And you can go from there. So, but yeah, The Exorcist, I mean, am I going to run out and watch it every day? No. But yeah, like I said, great film. Another great film. Two more. Well, I got a couple more, but another film I had never seen before, or I'd never seen the whole thing. It's definitely a classic in the genre that it occupies, and that's When Harry Met Sally. This is from 1989. It's a Rob Reiner film. Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, Billy Crystal's Harry, Meg Ryan's Sally. Basically, is the beginning of the modern romantic comedy. As a fan of Seinfeld, I definitely appreciated this film for the dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue in here, and there's a lot of ideas actually that Seinfeld would later kind of take the ball and run with. Obviously, the famous scene in the diner when Meg Ryan fakes an orgasm. Seinfeld will talk about that, later during their run, and just the idea of men and women being friends, and that idea of can a man and a woman be friends? How does that work? Seinfeld dealt with that. There's an episode called the Deal, where Jerry and Elaine, now they've obviously dated prior to that, and then they kind of flirt with getting back together, and what does that look like? So, but yeah, When Harry Met Sally, 5 stars. They don't make movies like this anymore, and it's a shame, really. I mean, it's a one of one, I will say. So if you're looking for a good film to watch, that's another one. Another good film to watch, Jerry Maguire. So this is Tom Cruise. I was trying to think about this the other day because we talked about Days of Thunder last week with Tom Cruise. I feel like Jerry Maguire is Tom Cruise at his best. I think this is peak. Because if you don't know the movie, it's from '96. He plays a sports agent who kind of has a crisis of conscience, and basically that crisis of conscience leads to him being relieved of his position at his sports agency, so he has to kind of go out on his own. Renee Zellweger, which, funny story. So on Letterboxd, I reviewed this film, I logged it, and I put a little blurb about what I thought. And I initially said Cruise and Reese are at their best. And then I went, saved it, walked away, and then I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to the Rewatchables podcast, which I've mentioned on the show before. And when they said Renee Zellweger, I thought, oh no. So I went back and had to update it. So apologies to Renee Zellweger. I inaccurately identified her as Reese Witherspoon. But anyway, the movie's great. Cuba Gooding Jr., who won an Oscar for his performance as Rod Tidwell, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, another 5-star classic. This one's directed by Cameron Crowe, who also did Almost Famous. That one's on my list. I need to watch that one. And then finally, the Big Picture podcast that I may have mentioned on the show before. They're doing a project called 25 for 25, which basically, and I may have talked about this last week, I don't remember, but they are going through the first 25 years of the century, so beginning January 1st, 2000, and they're giving their top 25 best/favorite films of the century. So last week they did their first episode. Number 25 was Michael Clayton, which not the wide receiver Michael Clayton that played for LSU back in the day, but this is the film from 2007, I believe, with George Clooney. It's probably George Clooney's finest work. It's directed by Tony Gilroy. It's a great film. I had seen that film before, so I didn't feel the need to rewatch it, although I probably will rewatch it at some point. I believe it's on Prime Video right now. But their number 24 on their list, they revealed today, and it's a movie called The Handmaiden. It is directed, it's a Korean film, Park Chan-wook. You may know that name if you've heard of a film. His probably a more well-known film is a film called Old Boy from 2003, which I believe was then remade to an American film. I want to say Spike Lee did the remake. It was remade. Let me see. Yeah, 2013. Who directed this? Yeah, Spike Lee did a remake of Old Boy starring Josh Brolin. But The Handmaiden, getting back to that, is from 2016. It's on Prime Video as well. Actually, Amazon actually owns the rights to it, so it'll probably be on Prime Video for a while. But it's a Korean film. It's about well, here, let me give you the tagline here. In 1930s Korea, a girl is hired as a handmaiden to a Japanese heiress who lives a secluded life on a countryside estate. But the maid has a secret. She is a pickpocket recruited by a swindler to help seduce the lady and steal her fortune. I guess all I'll say about this film is if you were going to pair it with a fake movie from Seinfeld, it would definitely be Rochelle. Strange Erotic Journey from Milan to Minsk. So, take that for what it's worth. And but I definitely do recommend watching it. It is a bit longer. It's almost 2.5 hours. The Handmaiden, but it flies by pretty quick. So definitely recommend give it a shot. It may not be for everybody, but it's something. I will say that. Obviously, it's in Korean. It's actually in Korean and Japanese. So the subtitles. And one of the cool things is the subtitles are color coded. So if you see them in white, then that's Korean. But if you see them in yellow, that's Japanese. And I actually may have that backwards because the whole time I was watching the movie, I looked it up and I had to keep going back to what I looked at. Yeah, Korea. Oh, sorry. So Korean's in yellow, Japanese is in white. So just again, something else to watch. So I think that's all the movies. I did want to give an update. I talked about last week. We have a little cat problem. Problem may be the wrong word. We got this new cat last week and decided we were going to put him in our upstairs bathroom, our master bathroom, and kind of seclude him for a little bit till he got used to everybody, and then kind of slowly introduce him to the rest of the house. Well, about a day after we got him, he found a way under our tub. So there's like a hole in the wall. He went in the hole in the wall, and there's a hole where our pipe, for the pipe to go through, and he kind of got in that hole and basically went in under our tub. So I recorded the episode last week, got it scheduled to deliver Thursday morning. Went upstairs, kind of decompressed for a little bit, and then I was listening to, watching YouTube videos, whatever, trying to decompress. And then about midnight, I literally putting my head on the pillow, and my wife wakes me up because what we did was we took one of our Ring cameras from outside and basically put it in the bathroom to keep an eye on him, so if he came out of the hole. Well, he tried to get out. My wife wakes me up and says, I don't think he can get out. So we basically spent 2.5 hours, so we're up to 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to enlarge the hole under our tub so that he can get out a little more freely. And now we're at a point where he can get out. And he's fine. I want everybody to know cat's fine. He's no problems. We are giving him food, making sure that when he does get out, and the problem is that we have the camera on him, but anytime if he gets out and let's say he goes to eat or drink or whatever, if I'm downstairs and I see him on the camera, as soon as I go to walk upstairs, he hears me coming and he goes right back in the hole. So he's a little skittish. Hopefully we can get him corralled here in the next week or so. But I did want to give a brief update. the funny thing was one of the first times when he kind of came out, he kind of poked his head up and he looked directly at the ring camera. I told my wife he looked like Jim from The Office, when Jim would just kind of look at the camera. So that's the story for the week. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can get him out and about next week. So that's going to do it for non-football related stuff. I do want to talk about, before we get into football, let's review. I want to take a victory lap here a little bit. We're going to review my bracket from last week. So we did my bracket, and Thursday night, your boy went to bed with a perfect bracket. I was 16-0 on Thursday. I was feeling pretty good.
That's
Sorry, wrong clip.
There's a feather in your cap.
Thank you, Elaine. I appreciate that. But yeah, that was so Thursday night, go to bed, 16-0. Wake up Friday. First game on Friday was Mississippi State and Baylor. I had Baylor. Baylor wins. I think I had a couple other games. And then Memphis was playing against Colorado State. And unfortunately for me, Memphis lost. And that kind of started the floodgates.
That's
Yeah, that was a shame. Thank you. But yeah, so ended up in the first round of the 32 first round games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was 27-5. Now, unfortunately, that's good. Don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, of the 5 I got wrong, 1, 2. Let's see, 1, 2. 2 of them I also had winning the next game. So like North Carolina, I had North Carolina beating Ole Miss and then beating Iowa State. Well, North Carolina lost to Ole Miss, so that screwed me up for there. In the West bracket, I mentioned Memphis. I had Memphis going to the Sweet 16. So that screwed me up. And then in the second round, I didn't do as well. We talked about the old UNC. My West bracket is completely screwed up. I do have Florida still. Florida's my national champion, so as long as they keep winning, I'm good. But in the other side of the bracket there, I had all the first round matches right. So I got Drake, Texas Tech, Arkansas, and St. John's. But then I had Drake beating Texas Tech. That didn't happen. And I had St. John's beating Arkansas, and that didn't happen. So as long as Florida keeps winning and comes out of that side of the bracket, I'll be okay. Florida's going to play Maryland tomorrow as we're recording this, and Texas Tech will play Arkansas. So yeah, my Final Four is still intact. Got Michigan State coming out of the South. They are going to play Ole Miss on Friday, and then Auburn is going to play Michigan on Friday. So in the bracket I'm in at work, that Michigan-Auburn game is really going to be a big test because a couple of the folks ahead of me right now have Auburn winning the national championship, and I have Michigan beating Auburn. So if Michigan beats Auburn, then I'm going to feel pretty good. My regional final in the South is Michigan against Michigan State. So we'll see how that goes. To talk about the West and the East. They're really the only hiccup I had in the East side, the East bracket, was I had Illinois beating Kentucky in the round of 32, and that didn't happen. Kentucky won that game, but as long as Kentucky loses to Tennessee on Friday, then I'm okay. And then Houston will play Purdue on Friday. I have Houston and Tennessee in the regional final. I've got Tennessee winning that. And then that was the Midwest. I may have said East. I'm sorry. That was the Midwest. And the East, I had Duke, I had Baylor, had Duke beating Baylor. That's fine. That's good. Had Arizona and Oregon winning. Had Arizona beating Oregon, so that's fine. I've got Duke beating Arizona. That game is tomorrow night. On the other side, BYU, Wisconsin. That BYU, I'm glad I think I had VCU originally, but I changed it to BYU. So I had BYU, Wisconsin, but then I had Wisconsin beating BYU, but that didn't happen. BYU won. I had another hiccup in the first round. Vanderbilt. I picked Vanderbilt to beat St. Mary's. That didn't happen. Picked Alabama to win. That one was a lot closer than it probably should have been, honestly, against Robert Morris. But Alabama won. And then Alabama beat St. Mary's. So on that side of the bracket, kind of screwed because I had Wisconsin going to the regional final against Duke. So that can't happen now. But as long as Duke wins out of the region, then I'll be okay. So my Final Four is, as I mentioned last week, Michigan State, Florida, Duke, Tennessee, and then I have Florida beating Duke in the championship. So we'll see how that goes. I actually also did a women's bracket. I'm actually 10. I haven't checked this. So it's kind of checking this for the first time. I did more of an automated bracket this one. I have UCLA in the women's bracket. My Final Four there is UCLA, USC, and then South Carolina and Texas. Those are my women's Final Four here. And it doesn't look like I did too terribly. I mean, I didn't. So basically, I don't have anybody. Like I don't have like in the men's side where I have the Wisconsin issue where have somebody lost that I had going to the regional final. I don't have that on the women's side, so yeah, it's good there. Check my ESPN bracket. I did a bracket there. I joined a group with the Rich Eisen show. They had a group there, and I'm 97th percentile there, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Because I think I ended up using the same picks. I think I changed a couple of picks here and there on that one, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, so basically the same there. Yeah, St. John's losing to Arkansas didn't really help. Yeah, so basically it's the same bracket there. And then I'm going to go ahead and let you know I did so ESPN does a second chance bracket, which basically was what it sounds like. Just start with the Sweet 16 and then fill out your bracket from there. So I did one of those, and I have. Doesn't look like I saved. Okay, so Auburn against Michigan. So on the ESPN bracket, I went ahead and picked Auburn to kind of hedge a bet there. Yeah, get one of them right, hopefully. So I got Auburn beating Michigan. I got Michigan State beating Ole Miss. In the West, that's in the South. In the West, I have Florida beating Maryland, Arkansas beating Texas Tech. In the East, I have Duke beating Arizona and Alabama beating BYU. And then in the Midwest, Houston beating Purdue, Tennessee beating Kentucky. And then in the Elite Eight, in the regional finals, in the South, Michigan State beats Auburn. In the West, Florida beats Arkansas. In the East, Duke beats Alabama. And in the Midwest, Tennessee beats Houston. So I end up with the same Final Four. I just kept that the same. Florida goes to the championship. They beat Duke. And I think, how do you save this? Because I thought this was saved. But I guess it's saved now. Okay. All right. Looks like. Yeah. Okay, looks like it's good now. All right. So, hopefully the Florida Gators can pull through for me. Hope everybody had a good first weekend of the bracket. Hope your bracket's doing okay. Let's move on to some football news now. We'll start with the same. Actually, before we get to like player player comings and goings, I guess. I did want to talk about this. I forgot to talk about this last week. There's a couple of rule change proposals that have come up that I wanted to mention. So we'll just kind of go through those really quick. The one that were brought up by, so there were three. One was brought up by the Eagles, one by the Lions, and then one by the Packers. Well, I guess we'll start with the Packers one. That one's no secret. They're basically trying to outlaw the tush push, the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. This has been reported a while ago that Packers are behind this, so we'll see if that gets any traction. Detroit had an interesting proposal. They want to eliminate automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. So you still get the yardage, but it's just not an automatic first down. Curious to see how that goes. I tend to. I'm not opposed to that one. What I would say is, because a lot of times, and this made me think about this, is, what's the difference between, in some cases, holding, illegal contact, and just straight up pass interference. Now, pass interference, I think that should be automatic first down. Like, I don't think they're going to mess with that. But like, if it's kind of a holding, illegal contact, which I believe it's can't contact the receiver after 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. So I'm not opposed to eliminating the automatic first down piece, but again, we'll see. I don't think if they do anything with that, I don't think it'll be this year. Excuse me. Competition committee. Actually, let me go to the Philadelphia one. So Philadelphia, this one makes sense, honestly, and I hate to say that because I know Brandon's going to yell at me for siding with the Eagles, but so be it. Philadelphia wants to align the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball regardless of the outcome of the first possession, subject to a 15-minute overtime period. So basically, in the postseason, the rules are different. So in the regular season, if the team who gets the ball first scores a touchdown, game's over. But in the postseason, if that happens, then the other team gets a chance to match it. I guess I see why in the postseason they would do that, but it would just, at this point, just make sense to be homogenous between the postseason and the regular season. But let's look at, there's a couple brought by the competition committee. I believe this first one is just basically reaffirming the kickoff rule, the new kickoff rule. Let's see. To make permanent the new form of free kick play implemented in 2024, designed to 1. Resemble a typical scrimmage play by aligning players on both teams closer together and restricting movement to reduce space and speed, and 2. Promote more returns subject to the following changes. So I guess these are updates. So the first update is modify the alignment requirements for receiving team players in the setup zone. I think we talked about this couple weeks ago. Second change the dead ball spot after a touchback to the 35-yard line if the ball lands in the end zone and is downed in the end zone by the receiving team or goes out of bounds behind the receiving team's goal line. Third one, change the alignment requirements for the kicking team on an onside kick, and D, permit the kicking team to declare an onside kick at any time during the game if trailing its opponent. So that last one, I think we talked about, because in the Super Bowl, when Kansas City was, I guess, attempting a comeback, they couldn't onside kick in the third quarter because you have to declare it, but it has to be in the fourth quarter. You have to be down by, I forget what the number is, but anyway. So, yeah, I think that at least makes sense. I know we talked about, or actually, now that I think about it, I think we talked about the UFL. The UFL is they're not doing onside kicks. What they're doing is the 4th and 12 or 4th and some yardage play. And if you get the first down, then you get the first down. If not, the other team gets it. So I think there was another one here. Competition committee wants to expand instant replay's ability to advise the on-field officials on specific objective aspects of a play and to address game administration issues where clear and obvious video evidence is present. So basically it just makes it sound like they want to expand the reach of instant replay, which I don't have a big problem with. I do know something in here. Is there something in here about getting rid of the chain gang? They're talking about using the chip in the ball. I don't see anything there. No. Then there was 3 resolutions proposed. These are not directly related to playing, or to the playing of the game flow, I guess. This is more, I guess maybe a couple of them are, but the first one here from Pittsburgh, this is to permit clubs during the 2-day negotiating period, so basically the legal tampering period, as it were, to have one video or phone call with a prospective unrestricted free agent and his player agent, and 2, permit the club to arrange for players' travel upon agreeing to terms with a prospective unrestricted free agent. Travel cannot occur until the beginning of the new league year. So basically, just again, kind of a common sense thing here. Like, look, if you're letting us talk to these guys prior to the new league year starting, we should at least be able to, if we have an agreement in principle, then we should at least be able to also book their travel so they can come and do the contract signing and all that stuff. So that makes sense. A couple of teams, another proposal here, permit clubs to prepare kicking footballs before game day, similar to the process permitted for game footballs. I don't know too much about this one. I mean, I guess it's pretty self-explanatory, but I guess, yeah, that. Then this one here, permit clubs that may qualify for the postseason to obtain scouting credentials for 2 consecutive games, weeks 17 and 18, played by a potential postseason opponent. Also require clubs hosting wildcard games to provide scouting credentials to all teams within the same conference who are participating in the postseason. Hadn't heard that one. I did hear, I don't see it listed here, maybe I overlooked it, but I know there was talk of potentially doing a seeding change where a division champion no longer automatically gets home field. I'm kind of, either way they do it, I'm not going to be too upset. I know the NBA has gone to kind of that model where you could have, say, a team wins their division, but their first round opponent has a better record, so that opponent gets home court. That's kind of what they're looking at here. I mean, there definitely should be some incentive, obviously, to win your division. But, I can see both sides of the argument. Well, the incentive to win your division is you get home field, but also, if you win your division, you make playoffs, and you don't have to worry about your record against other folks within your conference. You can win a division 8-9 with an 8-9 record, and there you go. Now, in that case, if you're the worst team in the conference, then that could cause some issues. But so that's some rules changes that we'll see if anything comes of those. I kind of want to talk about. I'm trying to think how I want to do this. Well, I guess let me set this up here. So we are going to do a little watching the watchers here.
I'm watching the watchers, Derek.
Okay, so I have a couple mock drafts I want to go through, but within the context of those mock drafts, I guess we'll kind of talk about player comings and goings. Let me pull up the latest one that came out today from NFL Network was Bucky Brooks. And he, like a lot of people now, are mocking Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami, to Tennessee Titans. Now, there's been a little buzz. Fellas over at Saints Block Party Podcast first kind of hinted at this, that Saints might be looking to make a move up to get Cam Ward. We talked, I think it was last week or the week before, we talked about Cam Ward coming out openly and saying he would love to play for the Saints, talking about watching the Saints when he was younger, Drew Brees, Marcus Colston. Folks, if he's dropping the name Marcus Colston, then he really watched the Saints. Like that's not a name that just a casual fan, I would say, would know off the top of their head. Now, obviously the Titans would have to want to play ball to do this. What I did is I went ahead and looked at, so in 2023, you may remember, the Carolina Panthers were picking 9th overall. Chicago Bears had the number 1 pick in the draft. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud were the kind of prize winnings, I guess, for the draft, that quarterback. And the Panthers decided to trade up from 9 to 1. Saints this year are picking 9 and potentially would want to trade up with the Titans to 1. So here's what the Panthers gave up back in 2023 to go from 9 to 1. Obviously, they gave up the number 9 pick. They also gave up a second-round pick, same year, the following year's first-round pick, and then 2025's second-round pick. So you're looking at 2 firsts and 2 seconds, basically. Oh, and by the way, they gave up DJ Moore, wide receiver. So, Saints fans look at this, start putting 2 and 2 together and say, okay, well, if we're going to do this, then if we need to trade a receiver to Tennessee, it's probably Chris Olave. Chris Olave's entering, he's his 4th year. He's eligible for his 5th-year option to be picked up. The Saints have not done that as of yet. Actually, I don't even know if I have to go back to the calendar. I think the window has opened. You can start doing that, but I could be wrong. Saints have a decision to make there with him and also with Trevor Penning, because if you remember, they drafted Penning and Olave in the first round of that draft in 2022. So here's my thought. When the Panthers did this deal with the Bears, a couple things here. The Bears at number 1, remember, they still had Justin Fields at this time, and they were okay, I guess, with, we'll just ride it out with Justin Fields, and then I want to say Andy Dalton was on that team too. I may need to phone a friend with Andy, the Bears fan, see if he can help me out there. But anyway, they felt, look, we don't need to draft Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. We're fine trading back. I don't think the Titans are in that situation here. That their quarterback room right now is Will Levis. They signed Tim Boyle today, and I want to say their other quarterback is Brandon Allen, or is it Mason Rudolph? Did they sign Mason Rudolph? Let's see. Let me pull it up here. So they signed Tim Boyle today, which Tim Boyle's not going to stop you from drafting. Yeah, Brandon Allen and Will Levis. So their other 2 quarterbacks. So if I'm Tennessee, if I don't love Cam Ward, which Adam Schefter came out today and he had a interesting report that I'll pull up here if you just bear with me, because I want to make sure I get the verbiage correct here. Nope, that's not it. Where is... So basically, I guess I'll paraphrase a little bit. Basically, Schefter was saying that, here we go. So Tennessee will hold an additional private workout with potential number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. The Titans have become increasingly impressed with Ward, and while they are expected to listen to offers for the number 1 overall pick, it now would take an even stronger package to acquire the draft's top selection. And he went on to say, at this workout, Cam Ward will go through a private throwing session for the Titans. So, like I said, Bucky Brooks is saying the Titans are there. A lot of other people, like people are starting to maybe use ink when filling out their mock draft when it comes to Tennessee, uh, putting Cam Ward there. The other thing too, like the Saints would not be the only team potentially that would want to trade up. Now what has added a little fuel to this fire is a lot of Saints brass went to the Miami Pro Day. And I'm talking Kellen Moore. I'm talking Mickey Loomis, I believe, was there. So, now that could also be, they're looking at Elijah Arroyo, the tight end. They're looking at Damian Martinez, potentially, the running back. Elijah Arroyo, by the way, it was like Xavier Restrepo, the wide receiver. He had a pretty rough 40 time, if I remember correctly. So we'll see what that does to his draft stock. And also, just to kind of stay on the Saints, so they left the Miami Pro Day. They went to Austin for UT Pro Day. They had a dinner with several of the players. Jahdae Barron, I believe, was part of that. Quinn Ewers. They had a session or an interview, I want to say, with Quinn Ewers. They went to the Ohio State University's Pro Day. There was a picture that floated around online today of Kellen Moore talking to Will Howard, the Ohio State quarterback. So definitely feels like the Saints are in the quarterback business in this draft. We talked about the Carr thing. I played the clip from Mike Florio a couple weeks ago. And Mike Mayock, who, if you don't know who Mike Mayock is, he basically was the Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network before Daniel Jeremiah. He left NFL Network to go be the GM for the Raiders. He kind of got caught up in when he first went there, John Gruden was the coach, and then obviously the whole Gruden gets fired and sues the NFL. That all happens. But Mayock was on Rich Eisen's show yesterday or the day before, and he kind of stoked that flame of, after the draft, if teams aren't happy with what they've got in terms of quarterback, don't be surprised if Derek Carr is mentioned or is sought after, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, from my perspective, if they're going to go up, obviously I got to see what the compensation is going to be to go up to 1. But if Cam Ward wants to play for you and you feel like you can work with Cam Ward, just go for it. I mean, at this point, go for it. Now, if you go to Tennessee and Tennessee's request, this is where the other thing that comes into play here is other teams are looking at Cam Ward too. I mean, Cleveland's looking at him. The Giants are looking at him. Maybe the Jets. You're going to have to outbid those teams also. So, if you put your best offer, like I've always heard, the phone call's free. You got to make the phone call and just say what it'll take. But at this point, it definitely, I think a couple of takeaways. Feels like Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 overall pick no matter what. May not be to Tennessee. It just depends on how that falls out. And it also feels like at this point the Saints are going to take a quarterback. Whether it's Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers, maybe Shador falls to 9, which, again, I'm not totally against that either. That doesn't – I won't scoff at that. What I will say, I mentioned the UT Pro Day, and we talked about this when the hiring was made, but Terry Joseph from the University of Texas is now with the Saints. I believe his defensive passing game coordinator, something of that ilk. Obviously, he coached Jahdae Barron in college. Jahdae Barron, when he got hired, Jahdae Barron went out on social media and said, "This guy changed my life." So I would not be opposed. Now, the knock on Barron is, can he play outside corner? He kind of sounds like what the Saints already have in Alontae Taylor. But if he can play outside corner, I mean, cornerback is definitely a need for the Saints now that Lattimore's gone. Alontae Taylor, I think, uh, will benefit a little bit from the new Brandon Staley defense, but can't hurt to have more secondary help, as it were. Now, again, if that's where they want to go, I think you can trade back from 9. Again, I know Saints don't trade back. I get it. Just what I'm thinking. But let's look at this Bucky Brooks mock draft. So he has Cam Ward to the Titans. He's got Shador to the Browns, which I read something today that said it looks like the Browns are leaning towards Abdul Carter, which if Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett on the same defense, that's pretty terrifying. There was kind of a spicy little nugget came out today where I forget the gentleman's name, but he went out on social media and said that Cleveland was working on a deal to trade for Dak Prescott. Kind of wish Brandon was here to react to that. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe by what I can ask him about it next week when he's back. But Jane Slater basically put this one to bed. She tweeted out after that report came out. She kind of tweeted out and said, "Oh, Jane Slater's talking about JFK." Okay, so she basically took the gentleman who originally reported this or kind of threw this out there was Bruce Drennan. This is he's a show. I think he's based out of Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is based out. It looks like, or he's at least Cleveland adjacent, I would say. But Jane Slater kind of retweeted that and said, I ran it all down when working this beat, and the Dallas Cowboys are not working on trading Dak to the Browns. In fact, texts with 2 sources tell me, quote, fake news, unquote, and, quote, absolutely not, unquote, before this gets any sort of wheels. So it was something to look at for an hour at least. But no, shout out to Jane Slater. It looks like she's, when I was looking for that tweet, I noticed she said she was watching Oliver Stone's JFK. I mentioned and looks like she's down the JFK rabbit hole now. So good luck with that, Jane. But I understand. When I watched JFK, I kind of did the same thing. So anyway, get back to the mock draft here. So Bucky's got Cleveland going Shador Sanders. He's got the Giants going Travis Hunter. Patriots going Abdul Carter. Patriots would be thrilled, I think, if Carter or Hunter fall to 4. Ash Genti to the Raiders. Saw a mock draft. I want to, again, give a shout out to the NFL Stock Exchange. They did a collaborative draft. It was them and the guys from, I think it's Football Outsiders. I have to look to see what program they were from. But basically, they did a collaborative mock draft. And that collaborative mock draft, they ended up mocking Genti to the Jaguars at 5, which I wouldn't hate. I mean, Travis Etienne. The point they made in the video was Travis Etienne is entering his final year of his contract, and he's also not healthy. But that'd be something interesting. I think if Genti's there at 6, I feel like the Raiders are gonna. Oh, and then also in that collaborative mock draft with Genti going 5 to the Jaguars, they had Tyler Warren going to the Raiders at 6, and they talk again. I would seek out the video. I'll try to link it in the show notes. NFL Stock Exchange, Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers, they do fantastic work there. See, Bucky's got Tyler Warren going to the Jets, Jalen Walker to the Panthers. I don't mind this pick. He's got the Saints picking Will Campbell. Will Campbell, LSU had their pro day yesterday. Will Campbell was asked about his measurements. I think his arm length was like 33 or whatever, short. It was short arms, and he basically said, like, put it on the tape, like watch the tape, like don't, you know, and come back and talk to me. But definitely came across as a guy you'd want on your football team. The Bears, he has Omarion Hampton, the running back from. Omarion Hampton's stock's been going up. I think Mel has been mocking him to the Cowboys at 12. I've never seen him in the top 10. This is the first time I've seen him in the top 10. Uh, for Jahdae Barron, who I just mentioned at Texas, Bucky's got him going to the 49ers at 11. How about Armand Minbu for the Cowboys at 12? Versatile offensive lineman there. Zach Martin retiring and whatnot. Need to get him in the fold. Oh, I guess I should mention. Let's go back to the Giants for a minute. So the Giants signed Russell Wilson. They previously signed Jameis Winston, and they re-signed Tommy DeVito. So it feels like the Giants. We talked about them going Travis Hunter. Feels like two things. They're out of the quarterback business, and maybe they're open for business on the trade market. They might be trading back. I know in the collaborative draft that I talked about with the NFL Stock Exchange guys, they had the Panthers trading up with the Giants to 3 so they could get Abdul Carter, which, speaking as a Saints fan, I don't want any part of that. I don't want Abdul Carter. I'm going to face him twice a year. So be interesting to see what the Giants do. One of the things that I've seen mentioned with the Giants is, Dayball and Joe Shane they're on the hot seat. I mean, they've been basically told in public, like, if you don't win this year, you're fired. So it makes sense for them to kind of get a quarterback who is more experienced, and that way they can maybe maximize their chances of having a winning season. So makes sense. But just also Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston on the same team. I mean, get your popcorn ready, folks, as they say. So that's the first round from Bucky. I did want to go to Chad Reiter. I believe I've been mispronouncing his name as Chad Reuter, but I believe it's Chad Reiter. He had a mock draft come out earlier this week. He did a 4-round mock. I'm not going to go through all the picks, obviously, but he also has Cam Ward to Tennessee at 1. For the Saints, he had them going Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan. So again, talked about Jahdae Barron potentially for the Saints at 9. And Will Johnson, same discussion, right? He had Dallas trading back. So he had Denver trading up from 20 to 12 so they could get Tyler Warren. That makes sense. That's the kind of player that Peyton's looking for that joker role. He also had the Cardinals trading up to 13 so they could get Calvin Banks. And the Dolphins end up with Jahdae Barron at 16 and trading back with the Cardinals. And then the Cowboys at 20 get Emeka Egbuka. I think Brandon would be okay with that. Egbuka is one of those receivers. If he had come out last year, he probably would have got a lot more hype. But this year, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. But so that's what he's got for the Cowboys. And then what does he have? He's got the Eagles trading up to get Walter Nolan. That seems like a popular match. Isaiah Bond from Texas going to the Rams. Rams trade back to 32. They trade back with the Eagles. Yeah. So the Eagles come up for Nolan. The Rams go back and they get Isaiah Bond. Kansas City Chiefs, this makes a ton of sense. At 27, they trade up to get Tyler Booker, the offensive lineman, offensive guard from Alabama. Let's go to the second round here, see what he's got the Saints doing at the second round. Second round, he's got the Saints going with, Gray Zabel. Yeah, out of North Dakota State. Would love this. By the way, the Saints just signed Dylan Radins from North Dakota State. He was with Tennessee, ironically, originally. Also adding fuel to this fire of Saints maybe looking to make a move, trade up. They've restructured a lot of deals. They've got like $30 million. Well, that was before they signed Ravens. They also brought back Brandon Cooks, patron saint, cowboy legend. But with all that cap space, people are starting to think maybe they're gearing up for something. So, but yeah, Gray Zabel in the second round for the Saints, I'd be completely fine with that. Completely fine with that. So Will Johnson and Gray Zabel for the Saints so far in round 3. What does he got the Saints doing in round 3? He's got them going with Jordan Birch from Oregon as an edge rusher, showing some promise. And then Emory Jones at 93, at pick 93. That's the pick they got from Washington in the Lattimore trade. So, again, no problem there. No problem with that pick. Round 4. Let's see what they got the Saints doing here. Saints in round 4. R.J. Harvey, running back out of UCF. I know Ryan from the Saints Block Party podcast. Ryan really likes R.J. Harvey out of UCF. And then I think the Saints have another pick in round 4. Let me find it here. Yep, here we go. 131, Isaiah Nair from Nebraska, wide receiver. I'm going to be honest, don't know a lot about him. Actually, while we're on that, I'm going to go ahead try something a little different here. Go ahead and do a mock draft live here. I'm just going to do it for the Saints. We'll just do 3 rounds. I'm using, actually, let me use PFF. I'll use the PFF mock draft simulator here. The thing about PFF is you have to pay in order to do trades and whatnot, so I'm not going to be doing any trades. And you have to pay to do a full 7 round. I don't want to do 7 round anyway. I'll just do a 3 round. Kind of talk about where my head's at when it comes to the Saints here. So let's start the draft. So before I get to what the Saints could do here, this simulator had Cam Ward going 1 to Tennessee, Shador to Cleveland, Will Campbell to the Giants at 3. That might be a bit of a reach. Travis Hunter to the Patriots. Again, Patriots would be doing cartwheels if that happened. Abdul Carter to the Jaguars. I feel like the Jaguars would be pretty happy with that. Ginty to the Raiders. Mason Graham to the Jets. And Armand Mimbu to the Panthers. That seems like an odd one. I don't know if the Panthers would be. Now, the Saints here, they're showing that there's 3 teams potentially want to come up. Colts from 14, Seahawks from 18, Rams from 26. I feel like Colts at 14. So here's our 5 best available at the moment here for the Saints. You got Tedero McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona, Jade Barron, corner from Texas, Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia, and then Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. Jahad Campbell's been a hot name going around with the Saints. DeMario Davis is not getting any younger. So, excuse me. So that might be a good pick for them. Also here is Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. Will Johnson, we mentioned the corner out of Michigan. So the PFF has the Saints needs listed as running back, wide receiver, and defensive line. So if we're just going to stick with that, I mean, again, I personally would put corner as a need, maybe safety as well. I know we signed Justin Reed, but Honey Badger's not getting any younger. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to go with McMillan. I'm going to go Tedero McMillan. We've talked about this. I feel like he's the kind of player the Saints need. I know his stock's taken a bit of a hit with some pros. Well, no, actually, his pro day, I think he turned out okay. His number was good enough for government work, as we say. All right, so I picked him at 9. Now we get down to 40 in the second round. A couple players taken right before. So Nick Emanwari went to the Patriots at 38. I would really have liked him to fall to 40. Darius Alexander, defensive lineman from Toledo. The Cowboys, Matthew Golden from Texas. So I think Brandon would be okay with that. Okay, so for the Saints now, and then Caleb Johnson from Iowa, the running back, went to the Bears at 39. Would have liked to have him, a chance to pick him at 40. But all right, here's our best five. Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker from South Carolina. His stock's gone up since the combine. Elik Ayomanor from Stanford. Jack Betch from TCU. Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. Trey Amos from Ole Miss. Landon Jackson from Arkansas, edge rusher. Let's see. So I went with McMillan in the first round. If I wanted to go running back, which they have listed as a need here, which I agree. I think running back is a need. Best running back available right now is Cam Scatterbo from Arizona State. I don't hate it, but it might be a little early for Mr. Scatterbo. What about can't get this to cooperate here, but if we look at defensive line, the best defensive lineman available is Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. Had a really good showing at the combine. I do like Trey Amos too, though, the corner out of Ole Miss. I feel like the Saints need a little juice on the defensive line. I mean, again, we talked about they need somebody at corner too, though. And Amos actually is kind of a local kid. He did go to Louisiana Lafayette for. Oh, he is a local. He's from New Iberia. Okay, so yeah, he's a local kid. So PFF list says he has a cornerback 2 floor with potential to be a cornerback 1. The Saints really could use a cornerback 1. What did you say about Landon Jackson? Landon Jackson. Fundamentally sound. Overall pass rush win percentage has been low through his career. High floor. I feel like the Saints would go with Landon Jackson in the scenario. I'm going to go Trey Amos. And we'll see if we can't get defensive line answered down the road. All right, up to pick 71 here. And Mason Taylor from LSU went pick 70 to the Jaguars. That's not ideal. Not a fan of that. Okay, so talked about defensive line coming back around here. Shamar Turner from A&M, Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee, Alfred Collins, that's Brandon's guy from UT. Offensive line here, Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. I know the Saints did go to Boston College's Pro Day. Saw this from Tony Pauline. He was writing about the Saints went up to Boston College's Pro Day and they met with Ozzie and then also his teammate Drew Kendall, who, if you remember, former Seattle Seahawk Pete Kendall was a first-round pick in the 90s. I want to say 96 or 97. That is Pete Kendall's son, Drew. Let's see, this is from PFF. Trapillo brings an ideal build and a scheme versatile football IQ to the tackle position. Size and versatility as a left and right tackle will make him a swing tackle at worst, with potential to be a solid starter for any run scheme. I don't hate that, but the Saints could really use interior offensive line. Jared Wilson from Georgia, who's a center, listed as a center. I wonder if he can play guard. Yeah, they don't really speak to that. I mean, they prop him up more as a center. Ooh, here we go. Now we're talking. This might be. If I don't pick him here, he might not be there at 93. Jonah Savania from Arizona. He's listed as a tackle, 6'5", 336. But the thought is that he can move inside to start his career. There's just probably what they're going to do with Will Campbell also. Wyatt Milam's here. Tate Rat. Ooh, okay. All right. I'm going to pass on the offensive lineman because I think we can get one at 93. What I am going to do, let's go back to the defensive lineman. For me, it's between either Collins or Norman Lott. Pass rush profile, inability to disengage. So we kind of need a lineman. I think Norman Lott has a really good pass rush win rate. Yeah. I think I'm going to go Norman Lott here. Looks like, yeah. Recorded a high pass rush win rate because of the violence, the speed in his hands, as well as his burst. Strong at around 300 pounds. Okay, yeah, this is my guy here. So Omar Norman Lott, you are a New Orleans Saint. And hopefully we get down to pick 93. So Savania, who I wanted, went at pick 92 to the Seahawks. That's a Seahawks kind of player, that versatile offensive lineman. Wyatt Milam, went to Pittsburgh, which that makes sense. But this guy, Tate Ratledge. Now, the only need I haven't really filled yet is running back. But looking at the running backs available here, let's just take a look. The best running back available is Devin Neal from Kansas, Damian Martinez, Jaden Blue. I know Adam from Saints Block Party Podcast loves him some Jaden Blue from UT. I think I'm going to hold off on the running back because it is a deep class. And Tate Ratledge from Georgia, who is a guard, 6'6", 320 pounds. So basically, they PFF kind of defines them, kind of summarize here. Not fleet as the foot, not a dynamic athlete, but solid. Yeah, I'll take it. I will take it. So I'm going to draft Tate Ratledge at 93, and that'll wrap up the draft for us. Let's see what grade PFF gives us here. They grade this. There we go. All right, so Tedero McMillan in the first round at 9. They gave us A+ there. Trey Amos at pick 40. Ole Miss corner gave us a B-. Omar Norman Lott at 71. They gave us A. Tate Ratledge at 93 gave us a B-. Overall grade of an A. So, well, nothing, not too shabby. I'll take it. All right, so just wanted to have a little fun there, do a mock draft. I'm going to try to do that. I'm trying to see if Brandon will participate in a mock draft once he gets back. We'll talk about that. Let's see. We did. Yeah, we talked about the mock drafts. We did that. We did the brackets. I think we're going to close out the show this week. I'm going to do another ranking. Excuse me. Another movie ranking. I'm just going to grab a sip of water here real quick. So last week I ranked, or not last week, a couple weeks ago I did the Gene Hackman, my top 10 Gene Hackman. I mentioned Michael Mann as a director. So I watched Public Enemies, this past week, and that was kind of the last film of Michael Mann's, that I had seen it before, but I hadn't really seen it enough to kind of feel good to rank it. So on Letterboxd, I mentioned Letterboxd, by the way, last week, I think. If you want to find me there, I am on Letterboxd. I'll try to put the information in the show notes so you can find me. All right, so Michael Mann has 11 films that he's directed. He's actually working on Heat 2 right now, I believe. Or is in the works. I still need to get to reading that book. I've only got about 16 chapters in, so I need to get back on that track. But so I'm going to rank them 11 to 1, and here we go. But we should remind you, as always.
Well, I don't know how official any of these rankings really are.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, so let's start with number 11. So number 11 is a film called Black Hat. This is from 2015. It stars Chris Hemsworth. You may know him as Thor. And he plays Nicholas Hathaway, a furloughed convict. And he is teaming up with American and Chinese partners to hunt a high-level cybercrime network. And as he closes in, the stakes become personal as he discovers that the attack on a Chinese nuclear power plant, if I can talk, was just the beginning. So it's kind of a hacking movie. It's not terrible. I would say it's a bad Michael Mann film is still better than some other things. So. At number 10, I'm going to put Public Enemies. Now, I mentioned this earlier when I talked about the film. I had a good time watching the film. Definitely thought it was well done. But, for me, that's where I'm ranking it. Number 9, I'm going to go with 2023's Ferrari. This is about Enzo Ferrari, the famous automotive, or I guess the X-race car driver turned automotive pioneer, as it were. In this film, Ferrari is played by Adam Driver. It also stars Penelope Cruz and Shailene Woodley. I will say this is probably one of the better performances in a Michael Mann film. Driver's really good in this film. But overall, just wasn't... I think what does it for me is that I watched this film after I watched Ford versus Ferrari, which is the Christian Bale, Matt Damon film, and I like that one way better. So that's probably a little bit of what's going into this. But Ford versus Ferrari there at 9. Or I'm sorry, Ferrari. Ford versus Ferrari is another list. I'll have to do that later. But Ferrari on my Michael Mann rankings at number 9. At number 8, I'm going to go Miami Vice. This is the Jamie Foxx, Colin Farrell movie from 2006. This is obviously based on the TV show of the same name from the 80s. It's the most 2006 movie. I mean, a lot of the music from this movie comes from that Linkin Park Jay-Z collaboration album that they did back in the day. So if you haven't seen this one, I would definitely recommend it. It's something. It's a trip. Number 7, I'm going to go with Last of the Mohicans. This is a little bit off the beaten path for Michael Mann, for sure. Obviously, this is Daniel Day-Lewis, Madeline Stowe. It's in the middle of war-torn colonial America. There's in the middle of a battle between the British, the French, and Native American allies. The aristocratic daughter of a British colonel and her party are captured by a group of Huron warriors. Fortunately, a group of 3 Mohican trappers come to their rescue. So, I mean, listen, Daniel Day-Lewis in anything, he's going to be good, and this is no exception here. So that's my number 7. Number 6, Ali. This is from 2001. Will Smith starring as Muhammad Ali. Another great. We talked about Jamie Foxx and Any Given Sunday earlier. This is another great Jamie Foxx performance. I feel like these two performances kind of set him up. Jamie Foxx, that is, for things down the road. John Voight is in this movie as Howard Cosell. Gives a great performance. So yeah, Ali, another good one. That's number 6. So now we get into the top 5. So let me kind of, before I get to the top 5, basically 6 to, so I would say Black Hat, I feel like, is definitely the weakest of the bunch. But then, like, Public Enemies is a little bit better. Ferrari a little bit better. So I feel like there's kind of, like, they're all kind of grouped in that. So if you ask me on another day, that 6 through 10 might change. Actually, this whole list might change, to be honest. But I feel like the top 5 are the top 5. Now, again, they could change order amongst themselves, but I feel pretty good with this top 5. Number 5 for me is Manhunter. We talked about this one I think a couple weeks ago. This is from 1986. So this is based on the Red Dragon novel. The same Hannibal Lecter universe, Thomas Harris novel. So this is technically the first appearance of Hannibal Lecter on screen. And he's played by Brian Cox, and it's frightening, and it's terrific performance by him. William Peterson, who was famous for CSI later, he's in this film, and he does great work. This kind of really paved the way for a lot of the what crime movies and TV would become down the road, especially like if you watch like True Detective season 1. There's a lot of that, a lot of Manhunter. I said Mindhunter's the Netflix show. Manhunter, a lot of Manhunter in True Detective season 1. So highly recommend that one. Number 4 for me is The Insider. 2, 3, and 4 I kind of had. It was tough for me to sort, but The Insider, this is based on the true story. It stars Russell Crowe and Al Pacino. This is based on the true story of a chemist who kind of blows the whistle on big tobacco. Russell Crowe plays the chemist, and then Al Pacino plays the, I forget his official title. Basically, he's the journalist that's trying to get Russell Crowe to kind of come forward and tell his story. Wonderful film. Kind of probably one of his Mann's more underrated films. Again, a little off the beaten path from the rest of these films. Like if you look at the next 3 that I'm going to talk about, Manhunter, the subject matter at least is a little off the beaten path. For number 3, I'm going to go Collateral. This is and actually I just noticed I gave Insider 4.5 stars. I gave Collateral 4 stars. So I'm probably contradicting myself here, but nevertheless, Collateral, I'll go at number 3. I'll stick it at number 3. This is Tom Cruise. We talked about Cruise in probably his best performance in Jerry Maguire. This is up there too, honestly. This is a really great performance. It's him and, again, Jamie Foxx. I want to say this is the same year that Jamie Foxx did Ray, which he won the Oscar for, but could be wrong there. But basically, this is a story of Jamie Foxx plays a cab driver. He picks up Tom Cruise. Cruise offers to pay him $600 to drive him around, but comes to find out that Tom Cruise is this assassin, and he's on a mission, as it were. So hilarity ensues, as you might believe. And then number 2, so that's number 3, Collateral. Number 2 for me is Thief. This is 1981's Thief with James Caan. Talked about this one a couple weeks ago. Great James Caan performance. And again, a lot of stuff that would go into Mann's future films. As you see, like, he kind of lays the groundwork for a lot of that here. Robert Prosky's great as a bad guy. I mean, just a really, really good film. I'm really glad I gave this a second watch because the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm not too sure, but the second watch was, yeah, definitely. This is a no doubter. And then number one for me on my Michael Mann rankings got to be Heat. This is his epic crime film based in L.A. It's from 1995. I mean, it's Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, John Voight, Tom Sizemore, Ashley Judd is in this film. It's Pacino and De Niro at the top of their games, going head to head, and I need to rewatch this film. Definitely when Heat 2 gets announced, when they actually come out and announce when that's going to be coming to theaters. Definitely be revisiting Heat. I want to say Heat is on. Is it on Hulu? Yeah, it's on Hulu. According to this, it's on Hulu right now. So, completely insane Al Pacino performance. If you ever get a chance to watch any Pacino talk about this role, so he plays Detective Vincent Hanna. De Niro plays Neil McCauley, he leads this group of bank robbers. Val Kilmer plays Chris Shaharless, who is kind of Neil's right-hand man. Tom Sizemore is also part of that gang. But the climax of the film is basically at one point, De Niro and Pacino meet up in a restaurant. They just have this wonderful scene where they just, go toe to toe, as it were. Can't recommend this film enough. If you like crime heist movies, I mean, if you're a fan of Dark Knight and you like that opening bank heist, that's coming straight from Heat. And Christopher Nolan probably would admit it. I mean, Christopher Nolan, once upon a time, did a Q&A where he kind of moderated with Michael Mann, Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro. They talked about this. And Pacino talked about his character and kind of how off the wall he was. But yeah, can't say enough good things about Heat. Hope maybe I know I've been threatening to do kind of a movie podcast in the future. Definitely, Heat would be a film I'd want to talk about for sure. So that's my Michael Mann rankings. I'll go through them real quick one more time. So number 11, Black Hat. Number 10, Public Enemies. Number 9, Ferrari. Number 8, Miami Vice. Number 7, Last of the Mohicans. Number 6, Ali. Number 5, Manhunter. Number 4, The Insider. Number 3, Collateral. Number 2, Thief. And number 1, Heat. So that'll wrap that up. Yeah, and I think that's going to wrap. I do want to mention before we sign off for the week, baseball. Major League Baseball kicks off, or I guess first pitch, as it were, is tomorrow as we're recording this. So I want to shout out. I am a Houston Astros fan. I live in the Houston area. My wife, when I met her, was a lifelong Astros fan, so I just kind of went along for that ride, and here we are. The Astros, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting year for them. Oh, that's what I wanted to. Well, no, we could talk. I was going to talk about some gambling things with the NFL draft, but we'll wait till Brandon's back next week to talk about that. I know from a baseball perspective, I think the odds-on favorite this year to win are the Dodgers. For obvious reasons, for the moves they've made. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Red Sox too, because I know Alex Bregman, who was one of my favorite Astros, he's up there in Boston now with the Red Sox. Kyle Tucker with the Cubs, Cam Smith, who the Astros got in the Kyle Tucker trade. Found out the other day he made the opening day roster, so good for him. Shout out to him. He's going to start in right field. Looks like they're going to play Altuve in left field. Originally, the thought was they're doing that so that they could bring Bregman back because Bregman wanted to play second base. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. As with anything, it's going to depend on their pitching. Looks like Lance McCullers, I think, is coming back. I don't want to jinx it, but I think that's. I honestly don't even know. Let me see. Who's the. Looking up the schedule here. Astros will open up at home against the Mets. Obviously, the Mets had their big signing of Juan Soto in the offseason. So Framber Valdez will be the opening day starter for the Astros. And then doesn't look like they have their Friday night starter set yet. What about Saturday? Nope, nothing on Saturday set yet. And I'm guessing Sunday is going to be the same. Same song, different verse. Do they even have? Are they playing Sunday? Huh, that's weird. They don't even have Mets Astros listed for Sunday at all, but Monday. Astros are home Monday against the Giants. Huh, I guess I got Sunday off. All right. So the Astros will start off with a couple home series. See how they do. We'll maybe give an update next week. But yeah, hopefully next week Brandon will be back. We can talk about his adventures in Europe and see, get a report from the road from him. See if he was able to find any houses in Tuscany to rent. Talk about that. We'll talk more draft stuff. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe the Saints have made a move by then and traded up to number 1 overall. I mean, we're only 4 weeks from tomorrow is the draft, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But until then, happy football, happy opening day, everybody.